everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. You know, you're used to me having all these veterans on the show. I like to get the new guys on too. This is a guy, I'm sitting in the Toronto Pro judging, and I have a score sheet that I printed out the day before of the pros. This guy's not on it, but he's in like the second call out, and he looked amazing. This is Robin Strand, 25 years old from Ontario. How you doing, Robin?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Ron.
And Robin, you had turned pro at about noon that day at the Toronto Pro Qualifier right there. So, wow. To go from that to ultimately you took 8th place out of 18, and that was not a shabby show. That was a pretty decent lineup. So first of all, props to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we'll talk a little more in depth about that weekend, because I'm sure that was just a crazy whirlwind weekend for you. But tell us a little bit about how you got into all this. I know you were not always a huge muscular guy.
Yeah, so do you want me to go back to when I first started?
Absolutely.
All right. So when I was 16, I was in high school, and I got bullied a lot. I was a really skinny kid, and I had developed an eating disorder. I became a bulimic because I had thought that the reason why I got bullied was because I was fat. I had no idea, right? I wasn't a fat kid.
Wow.
I was maybe 150 pounds at the time, but by the end of that run with bulimia, I was about 120 pounds soaking wet, and I thought that that's what I needed to look like in order for me to fit in.
And you're not short. You're almost 6 foot. You're 5'11"?
About 5'11", yeah. So I was not healthy at all, and nobody knew about this at the time. I did everything in secret, and I went down to the track, and I would run it for 2 hours, just push myself beyond what I had, you know, in my body until I could lose more weight. And then even when I ate, I would want to throw up, so I would purge, and I would repeat that process every single day until one day I was working at a Wimpy's diner nearby.
Let me back up for 1 second. You know, I'm a parent. Did your parents notice?
Yeah.
Did your parents notice what's going on? You're getting so thin.
I hid it well because, you know, I would eat in private. Even when I ate with my family, then I would wait a little while, and then I would just say, hey, I'm going for a walk, I'm going for a run. No big deal. You know, maybe they just thought I was going through some growing spurts or whatever, but no one knew about it. They didn't know until I told them. You know, I wrote a little short story about it, and I posted it on Facebook, and my mom was like, I had no idea. Wow. And I lived with my mom during this time, so, you know, if she didn't know, no one else would have known.
Right.
And I was too embarrassed to tell someone about it, so I knew I had to change that before I had ruined my body and destroyed my teeth and my digestive system and all that. So I started working at this Wimpy's diner, and funny enough, my boss was a bodybuilder, and he didn't compete, but he looked like a bodybuilder, and he was a genetic freak. Benching 3 plates for warm-up is what he told me he used to do. And he noticed that I was skinny, so he started feeding me, but I didn't want to eat the food, and he's like, all right, there's something wrong with you. But he didn't know what it was, so he gave me the Arnold's book of the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, and I was fascinated right off the bat. I read it cover to cover that night, and immediately I was like, this is how I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to look like a bodybuilder. I'm going to educate myself on nutrition, and I'm never going to have to worry about the anxiety of eating and looking a certain way ever again, because I'm going to look awesome. And so I did that. I went to Walmart. I grabbed myself, you know, some plastic weights, and I bought a squat rack, and I put it in my room, and every morning before school I would squat, and every morning or every evening after school I would bench press and do my rows and do my deadlifts.
Wow.
And at that point my mom thought I was crazy, because she's seen me work out like a maniac, and she didn't say much. She just said, don't put any holes in the floor, and I said, all right, Mom, I won't. But she started supporting me. You know, she would buy me some chicken breasts, and I said, Mom, this is what I need to eat. She's like, all right, no problem. Within that year, I gained back about 30 pounds, so I was at a good 150, and I had a little bit of abs, and I had a little bit of muscle. And then within about 6 more months of that, I had bulked up to a pretty good, I was kind of fat that time.
Yeah.
I was eating a lot. I was like, I gotta get big.
Right.
I kind of got over the fact that being fat was the issue, because I had read how bodybuilders eat, and I read pretty much every article I could possibly find on bodybuilding.com on nutrition and how to get big. So when I was 17, I was 190 pounds, and I had a decent shape, and I felt pretty good about that. And my friend said, let's do a bodybuilding show. I'm signed up for this, the UFE Spring Bash 2009, which was an all-natural show.
Yeah.
It had $500 for first place.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, they used to give out cash money prizes at that organization, but I think they stopped doing that. But anyways, we were about 2 weeks out from that show. I researched everything. I used the encyclopedia. I used bodybuilding.com, Lane Norton, all that kind of stuff. I read everything I could about how to prepare for that show. And I had gotten myself ready up until that point, and he gave up. He said, you know what, I'm not doing the show.
Oh, wow.
I said, all right, man, I'm dedicated to this thing. I put this work in. I'm training twice a day. I'm doing cardio twice a day. I'm dieting. I'm counting my macros, every last little ounce of food. And I...
Sorry, Robin, at this point, are you at a gym, or are you still training at home?
At this point, I had moved to the city. So I moved down to Toronto at this point for my last year of high school.
Okay.
I was living with my dad at the time, so he had helped me, and I was working out at a Good Life.
Okay.
So I had hired a Good Life trainer to teach me a little bit more about how to train properly, and I made some good I made some good gains. I won that show, and when I won that first show, the rush, beating these other juniors on stage, I got second place in the men's open, and I was 175 pounds. And this is a natural show. So,
and you're 17 years old at this point, right? 17?
17.
Wow.
And I had decided that day that this is something, the first thing in my life that I was really good at, winning first place there in that show. Then I decided to go into the OPA and do an open show as a natural.
Yep.
I wanted to start moving my way up in the ranking system.
Right.
So I won one of the regional shows there as a junior, first place, and then I won first place in the provincial level as a junior. And I was known for my conditioning. I was beating bigger guys, but I had conditioning. So when I turned around, when I did my poses, you could see everything. And the judges said, if you can keep that, you can keep winning. So I did that, moved up to the nationals.
Oh, hang on a second. You're doing your diet, you're on your own this whole time, and you got that great condition?
I worked with different coaches, but for the most part, I did my own dieting. Wow. I had a coach to give me training, and his name was Vincent Walters, and he was just a Good Life trainer, but he also competes in the OPA himself.
Okay.
And he was a great coach. He taught me how to pose. He did give me a lot of advice on my diet too. Like he said, you can't have this, you can't have that.
Yeah.
But I had studied nutrition so much that I knew how to count these macros and that kind of stuff. So I was always confident with that nutrition because I knew coming from an eating disorder, I could never cheat on my diet. It just wouldn't happen. I would just die if I did that.
Wow.
And I'm over that now. I've been doing this long enough that if I have a cheat meal, I don't feel guilty, and I don't go back to that. So, one of the things I say is that bodybuilding saved my life, because if I didn't get introduced to it at the time, maybe I could have destroyed my stomach, my teeth, all these things. And I knew this is what I was destined to do. So I kept going.
So who was like the first person who spotted your potential and said, because you hear people say this all the time, you could be a pro one day, and for every person that gets told that, it's probably 1 out of 1,000 actually becomes a pro. But
yeah.
What do you remember the first person ever told you could really do well at this? You could be a pro bodybuilder someday.
That's a good question, actually. I don't remember who the first person that told me I could be a pro was.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's really told me that, to be honest. but I know that
it's too late now. Now you're a pro.
Yeah, but my mentor, when I met him at the 2011 Nationals, and I was still natural, yeah. And he asked me if I was natural, and I said yes. He was the first person that told me, you have potential. And we didn't even start working together until a couple years later. Yeah. But he was kind of the first one that told me that, and he kind of started taking me under his wing. I think I was just too young to to understand a lot of his knowledge. So he was, I think, waiting until I was a little bit more mature, because the guy is a genius. I don't think that I could have comprehended the information he was going to give me at that time. So he waited until I was able to do that.
We haven't said his name. This is Benoit Lapierre, correct?
Benoit Lapierre, yeah.
ELP. Now, I remember him on Get Big. It's just like the outrageous character. You know?
Yeah.
So you actually know him as a person.
Absolutely.
What's he been like as a coach and a mentor to you? You know, how was he able to really make you see your potential and help you realize your potential over these years?
With Benoit, I think that for him, it's almost hard to explain, because he has such a vast amount of knowledge that some people don't understand why he says what he says. Like, you know, he talks a lot about spirituality, talks a lot about kinesiology, and it's not just about, you know, like, you got to take this, you got to take that, here's your diet, here's your training. It's more about finding the power within you through, you know, manipulating your thoughts, your mindset, meditation. Those are the things that I think changed me more than anything else. And then as far as training and diet and nutrition and, you know, stuff that we take, for the most part, he'll give me guidance, but he'll guide me through, like, listening to my own body. Yeah. So he'll ask me, what do you feel is right? And that's most of the time, that's the answer. That's what you do. So it's kind of a different coaching style, but it's taught me a lot about myself, and I think that's how I've matured in a way, more than I would have if I just had someone say, here's your training, here's your diet, send me pictures.
Before I forget, it's an animal shirt you got on, correct?
Yep. So
is that a coincidence, or does that mean something?
I've been a Canadian animal ambassador since February 2018. So I'm hoping to get a full athlete sponsorship with them. Now I'm just, you know, I'll talk to them about that. But yeah, I mean,
circumstances have changed, guys. It's definitely changed.
I've been using the animal products since I started when I was 17, and it's the one company that I truly believe in the product. So it's been a good fit for me, and I'm happy working with them.
Okay, so Robin, I was looking at your contest history on your website, strandstrong.com, everybody. He's available for coaching. So the last big title I saw that you had was the 2014 Junior Canada. You won. Now, Junior is what, up to 21?
So in Canada, in 2012, they had it up to 23.
Yeah.
After 2012, they changed it to 21 and under.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, 23, come on. Get up for God's sake.
It makes more sense for sure.
So you were a middleweight when you won that?
I was about 195 pounds, I believe.
You were no middleweight.
So I think I would have been like a light heavyweight. Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do after that? I see a big blank gap between that win and this awesome weekend you just had in Toronto a couple weeks ago. So what did you do after you won?
I didn't update that, so that's my fault. But in 2015, I took that year off. I just didn't have enough money, and I wasn't big enough to go into the open after that at the national level. Yeah. But in 2016, I thought that I would go in for the heavyweights, and so 2016 nationals, I ended up just barely squeezing into the super heavyweights. I was really trying to get into the heavyweights, but I ended up being like 222.5 pounds. So not nearly big enough at all to be standing on the super heavies. Yeah. And I didn't get into the heavyweights, so I was kind of in a weird position there. I ended up getting 10th place out of 20-something guys. So I definitely, I mean, it was a humbling experience for sure. I wanted to win, but I knew that I had work to do. Yeah. So after that year, I had to requalify because only top 5 could compete again in the nationals. So then in 2017, I did the Toronto show, what they have this year, but last year, because of the organization switch from OPA to the CPA, last year it was only Ontario. So it was only a provincial level show. And I had won that show, the overall as a super heavyweight, and won the Mr. Ontario title. And then this year they had changed from an Ontario show to a national show.
Yep.
where you could win your pro card. So I did the same show again and won it again. So
now, was this the show you just won? Was that only open to Canadians, or is it like a lot of these pro qualifiers now? Somebody could have came from friggin' like Zimbabwe or Croatia for your show.
Yeah, so it's international now. So we had some guys from the States. I think we had some guys from abroad as well. So it's cool that now guys from across the world can come and they can compete in Canada and win their pro cards too. So it gives everybody more opportunities to win pro cards, which is great. So
I mean, you guys had so few opportunities up there. You know, you're kind of young. You don't remember what a pain in the ass it was to turn pro as a Canadian.
Yeah.
You know, one guy a year turned pro for many, many years. It's whereas over in the U.S., you know, good Lord, you need a phone book to keep track of all the pros now, for God's sake.
It was too bad because a lot of the guys that did turn pro, there was only one pro, and a lot of them didn't even continue to compete afterwards. So it was like, you know, a lot of good amateur guys would just have to keep trying at the nationals. And
I mean, and I can't say that I followed Canadian amateur bodybuilding as closely as U.S., but there were names that kept popping up. I don't know, especially because his name's Ron, like me. There was a guy, Ron Partlow. I think he finally turned pro, right?
He did, yeah. But he finally did, yeah.
God, that guy was like first or second in his weight class at the Canadas for probably a dozen different times.
Like a good decade, yeah. It's craziness.
Poor guy. You know, so I think it's good for everybody. Everyone's getting a chance. So let's talk about your weekend. So
cool.
What'd you weigh going into the show? Super heavy. You could have been any weight, obviously, at over 225.
Yep. So I weighed in at 240 on the dot. And I was happy with that. That was about 8 pounds up from last year with, I would say, significantly better conditioning as well.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't want to jump ahead, but condition-wise, you were probably the best conditioned guy on that pro stage Saturday night. You know, downstairs at that auditorium. It was definitely your condition was better than pretty much. I'm trying to think of who. Maybe Juan Morel's condition was similar.
But he was really good.
I'm not sure I can think of anybody who was in better condition than you. So, how'd that day go for you? Was it Friday you were judged, and then Saturday were the finals, right? Like any normal big international show. Did you feel confident the whole time? Did the call-outs go your way, and you knew you were probably going to get this?
I felt very confident only because this was something that I was working towards since last year's pro show. Yeah. So you know, I sat down, me and my fiance sat down, we made a game plan. We meditated on it every single day, 6 times a day. So going into it, you know, I had visualized that win so many times. It was kind of like living through a dream almost, because it felt real and surreal at the same time. And then I had made up my mind that when I had won that pro card, I would definitely go step on stage with the pros that evening. There was no way I was going to give up an opportunity like that, because I wanted to get compared. I want to go into this off season now knowing exactly what I need to do in order to get better. And you know, I'm very, very grateful to have that opportunity from the OPA, or from the CPA rather, and Jim Mannion. That was like just beyond my expectations. So yeah, the weekend it didn't even feel real until the Sunday I woke up and started watching the videos, and I was like, that's me. I did that. That's crazy. I can't wait to get back on that stage even better. That's what I want to do. Yeah. So
back up again. So you went. Everyone knew going into that show that if you won the overall, you got a pro card and you got automatic invite to the Toronto Pro Show that evening, right?
Yep. Okay. So that's the first time that this is possible. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, it's happened like in some, I think last year at the Kuwait Pro. It's happened in some weird far-flung places, but this is closer to home. I mean, this is pretty cool. So yeah, you knew you were going to do it. I mean, what expectations? It was 18 men. We got guys like Juan Morel, Akim Williams, Max Charles, a few other guys. It was a pretty decent lineup. I mean, what were your expectations going in?
Honestly, I had no expectations going into the pro rankings. I just didn't want to be last. I was like, if I'm not last, then I'll have some confidence going into my next pro show. So getting a second call out, I was almost stunned that they even liked my physique, because I had no idea. I've never stepped on stage with these guys before.
Right.
You know, I was still looking at myself as an amateur. You know, I felt like just a baby out there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's given me some really good confidence. I know what I need to do now. So it's fun. I know I love to work. So we're going to do it this year. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get to the next move, a couple of subjects. First of all, I think you probably want to thank Sam Slater is your girl, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram. It looks like she's been part of this process with you for a while now. How long have you guys been together?
Yeah. We've been together for 2 years now.
Okay.
And we've been engaged for a year. We got engaged after the last show that we did together. So we did this whole prep together. It was just her and I for 4 months. Well, plus the off season too.
Yeah.
We moved in together. We live together now. We got engaged, and we're gonna take this all the way together. So without her, I would not be a pro right now. And everybody I speak to knows that, because she's been the most amazing person that I could ever possibly imagine, and I tell her that every day. So
does she actually train with you with the weights and everything too?
She trains and she competes too. She does women's physique.
No, does she train with you? Is she your training partner?
Absolutely. Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She's she trains like a beast, and she pushes me, man. Like, it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not so shocking, because I just had Sean Clarita on here, and his girlfriend of 3 years, that's his training partner, which freaks people out because he's a strong little dude, man.
Yeah. He's a freak.
He's pushing up like 170s on incline presses, squatting 500 pounds like nothing. And, I guess if you need a big dude to spot you all the time, you're probably not doing the weight on your own anyway, right?
Yeah.
But just for the people out there, because, relationships are tricky, do you think it definitely helps that she lives this lifestyle? I mean, regular people, this is just so bizarre to them that you have to eat every 2 hours and you have to get to the gym instead of going off to the beach or whatever it is. Has it definitely made things easier that you guys are both part of this? You both live the lifestyle?
I would say 100%. And even above and beyond that, to have someone that shares the exact same amount of passion for it that you do, it makes all the difference. And especially when you're serious in a relationship with somebody, for us, we do everything together. We cook together, we eat together, we sleep at the same times, we train at the same times, grocery shopping. We spend like about 99% of our time together, unless one of us is at work or something. Yeah. But it makes all the difference, because you know how it is on a prep. When you have those days, someone feels down, but the other one will pick them up. And it goes back and forth like that all the way through. And we were just talking about like how amazing it is to be able to experience it all together, and motivate each other every single day just to get better. It's amazing. For someone who has a relationship with someone who's not involved in the sport, or even if they are but they don't share the same passion, I don't think it would work to the same degree. I'm very blessed to have someone like that. It's great.
So I have to ask, that condition you got into, glutes were just clearly striated. You were about as lean as anybody we've ever seen. I mean, we talk about the guys from the Middle East and Eastern Europe. I mean, you had that level of just crispness, sharpness. Does it take getting to a point where you're exhausted and cranky, or how were you feeling the last couple of weeks? Because most people never ever get into that condition in their lives. Does it take you to a place where you're not feeling well and just not fun to be around, or are you still okay?
I think as long as you can handle being tired and lethargic, then I don't think it should necessarily affect your mood or the way you treat people. I always feel like no matter how shitty you might feel on the inside, if you see someone like a caretaker or a janitor and you just say, hey, how you doing? Have a great day. That's the kind of stuff that boosts you. You feel good when you can put a smile on someone else's face, or if you feel like garbage and your fiance feels like garbage, but you can cook a meal for her and then she feels happy and then you feel happy. And if you can just keep that going throughout those days of prep and throughout those weeks and months of prep that, you might just want to stop and, say, hey, I'm not feeling great. it's part of it. You got to enjoy that too, because the worse you feel, it probably means you're getting pretty damn close to good shape. So
Right.
if you can learn to fall in love with that feeling, and I know that sounds kind of weird,
No.
but if you can love feeling like that, knowing it's not forever, then I think that's what it takes. It's just maybe a shift in mindset. And then the other thing is not worrying about getting too small, because the size will come. And that's one thing that I've battled with, but I've realized that if you're in great condition, you're going to look better than if you were bigger.
Do you think that's why a lot of guys never really get in shape? That's my theory. Is that a lot of guys, they get to a point in the diet where they look in the mirror and say, I'm getting flat. I better, and mentally they stop right there. Maybe they just start to see a little glute striation, whereas somebody else like yourself doesn't have that fear of shrinking and flattening out. And you keep pushing, and you do get that condition. Mentally, do you think that's why a lot of guys never get there?
I think definitely. I think it's all about the mind. When you're at that point where you feel like you're getting smaller and you're losing muscle, if you believe you're going to lose muscle, you're going to lose muscle. But I truly believe that the human body is smarter than that. And as long as you're taking care of your recovery and your rest, and you're training hard as hell, like you're still lifting heavy, then you keep pushing it, man. And you push harder then. When you start seeing those striations come out, you push just a little bit harder. And the harder you keep pushing, I think that's what keeps the size.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there were guys in your super heavyweight class who, they didn't have that. I didn't see the amateurs, but just based on what I've always seen, especially the super heavyweight class seems to be notorious for big, full guys who just didn't get in shape. A lot of them should have gone down to heavyweight, but whatever. Switching gears now, Canada for a while, you'd still have guys like Bukowski and Fuad, but it was few and far between that we really saw any good stars. We're seeing a lot of great young talent. I mean, you just joined this roster, but we've got like Bumstead, Regan Grimes, Antoine. It seems like there's a real resurgence, a real great stock of talent coming out of Canada. Is there, especially the Toronto area, is there a really good feeling around there that things are turning up for you guys, and you guys might be like the new part of the world people are looking toward for new talent now?
I truly believe that. Like the guys that you listed, Ian Valaire.
Ian, yeah.
There's now these guys that are coming out and they're motivating other Canadians that, hey, we're coming too, and what we bring to the stage is going to be a threat to the other guys in the States, the other guys from Kuwait. Like, we're going to hold our own. We're going to bring that Canadian conditioning, and we're going to start turning some heads, and there's going to be more guys coming. So, we gotta step our game up, and so does everyone else. It's going to be good. Yeah, it's very motivating, and I'm really happy to be a part of the Canadian Bodybuilding Pro League now, because I want to make a statement. I want to say, hey, Canada's coming. So you took 8th place out of 18 pros, 7 hours after turning pro. So you beat more than half the field, just straight out of the box. So how motivating was that? And does that give you a sense of extra drive, extra motivation to? I'm sure you've already been training and dieting like a maniac anyway, but this has got to step it up for you, that you belong up there as a pro. Yeah, it's given me a real confidence that I will be a good pro, and I just have to put in the work now. And because this is something that I love, and this is something that I've thought about for years, I'm ready for it. I'm prepared for it. It was a very humbling experience too, because not only did I beat some guys, but I see who's at the top, and those guys are guys that I watch on YouTube for motivation every day. So seeing them in person and just being on stage with them was like just a great experience. Everybody that I talked to was humble. They're all champions, and they welcomed me like I wasn't just some stranger. They said congratulations, and they pumped me up to really have a good time on stage. And I think that's why I got through it, because I was tired. but going out there, the adrenaline kicked in, and just my body took over and just did what it needed to do. So yeah, it was amazing. It was a great experience.
So based on feedback that you got after the show, and I'm sure Benoit and other people you know, and you look in the mirror, you know what you need to work on. So where do you go from here? What do you feel you need to improve on before you want to get back up there with the other guys as a pro?
For this off season, my main goals are going to be thickening up my back, thickening up my chest, getting that real nice hamstring to drop down real low, and overall size. I'm not gonna go crazy with the size because I really want to be able to keep the aesthetic look that I have developed. Yeah. Tightening up my abdominals and making them look a little bit better, I think is going to help me a lot too. And it's just going to be, you know, slow and steady wins the race. For me, that's kind of what I always believed. But this is going to be a really fun off season because it's going to be all about just getting better every day. And next time I step on stage, I'm going to be better, bigger, harder, more conditioned, and we'll keep going like that.
Do you train at Regan's gym? Because I saw a picture on your Instagram where you're standing in front of it.
His gym is about 2.5 hours from where I live.
Ooh, too far.
I don't make it up there very often, but it's a great gym. It's probably one of the best gyms that we have in Ontario. Yeah. But I just train at a local gym here, and it's got everything I need. It's not busy, and they welcome me and my fiance. So
they haven't kicked you out yet. So
yeah, they haven't kicked us out yet, even though we drop weight sometimes.
Okay, so I know you just turned pro. You got this off season ahead of you. In your mind, do you have any idea when you want to get back on stage, roughly?
I've made a plan to do New York for 2019.
Okay.
Because I want to step on stage at a really big show, and I mean, I'm not gonna go in with any crazy expectations. I just want to get compared to some really good guys again.
Yeah.
And then my other plan is to do the Toronto again.
Okay. Move
myself up in the ranking there.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a pro and I live in Ontario, I would do New York pro and I would do Toronto. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
New York.
I gotta do Toronto. I gotta come back for the home turf. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's give people some social media stuff of yours to follow. Your website, strandstrong.com, and you do have coaching and prep plans available. Your IG is Strand Strong. I like the consistency here, Strand Strong. And your YouTube channel, IFBB Pro Robin Strand, which you've already got some good content on there. I'm sure you plan on getting a lot more.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to be putting up videos daily, training videos, and I think, you know, YouTube is fun. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm pretty easy to find on social media, like you said. All my stuff is just Strand Strong. So, yeah.
And you shot the day after, was it Sunday or Monday? You shot with Jason Breeze up there, right?
Yeah, on Sunday we did a shoot with Jason Breeze at Venice Fitness.
Okay. So I want to encourage everyone to look out in a few weeks for the August issue. This is a magazine, people. It's a print thing. You have to go and buy it and turn pages. Muscular Development. Robin's going to have a feature in there. You definitely want to check that out. And, yeah, appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations. Welcome to the pro ranks. It's exciting watching new blood, new talent come in. That's the only thing that keeps this sport going, obviously. Yeah. So wishing you the very best. And, yeah, any final words?
I just want to say thank you, Ron, for the opportunity to have me on the show and to speak with me. Thank you for your time. And just thank you to everyone who follows me, who supports me, my family, my friends. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do it. And stay tuned for more. Canada's coming, baby.
Right on. All right. For the Ronline Report, it's been Ron Harris with Robin Strand. Thanks for watching.